Tonight on CTV News, a Twizel restaurant gutted by fire, a community sports club's growing frustrations with the council.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening. Social media is helping to solve ram raids across the city. The van used to smash into several premises has been found, but the offenders are still at large.
A stolen van involved in a series of ram raids yesterday has been found, abandoned on a roadside. Today, police continue to carry out forensic investigation on the vehicle, hoping to find the 3 offenders who stole the gold-coloured Nissan Largo on Tuesday night. The van was used in a series of ram raids on a number of retail outlets around the city yesterday morning. Significant damage was caused to the doors of the businesses hit, with the offenders making off with sweets and tobacco products. Today, the abandoned vehicle was found on the side of an undisclosed Christchurch road, with photos of it put up on Facebook by a member of the public. Police Senior Sergeant Scott Anderson says the van was dumped on the side of a road and a team of investigators are looking for clues to identify the offenders. The van was stolen from a residential Papanui address at around 1:40 a.m. before it rammed a diner in Wigram 20 minutes later, with offenders getting away with chocolate and chewing gum. The doors of a fuel station in St Martin's were also rammed shortly after, with the offenders stealing cigarettes. Sergeant Anderson says that 2 other businesses were also raided during the spree, but would not disclose their locations. Anyone with further information about the offenders is being asked to contact police.
Chelsea Daniels reporting there. A restaurant in Twizel has been gutted by fire this morning. 9 fire crews from South Canterbury and North Otago attended the blaze just after midday. No injuries were reported and the fire department is continuing to investigate the cause. Well, they're trying to get ahead and grow their community sports club, but the site of the Heathcote Sports Club is owned by the City Council and consenting issues are causing a massive headache. Here's Gerard McCulloch.
It's been a waiting game for a Christchurch sports club, ready to get on and repair their facility. But for the Heathcote Valley Sports Club, they're in a bit of a pickle and have had enough.
We want to get going, we want to get our membership going. You know, we can't do anything until we've got a building.
The club is being leased from the council on a green space known as the Heathcote Domain, but since February 2011, it's been a difficult road to get back up and running.
The earthquakes, as you know, devastated Heathcote, it devastated our 2 club buildings, it caused considerable damage to the playing surfaces and irrigation.
But the club was insured and received a payout of $240,000, and so far they've spent around $25,000 on some of the grounds and irrigation systems to bring them up to standard. The organisation Lev Bowls New Zealand as the arm of the club had since declined, bowling not being popular, and changed their name to the Heathcote Valley Sports Club. But he says that was a huge mistake.
Didn't have the lease on the property, and as such we had to reapply for the lease again, which we thought was completely ridiculous because we still had the same committee members, we still had the same members, we still had the same chairperson, secretary, treasurer, etc.
After some time, the club was able to obtain a lease again and had to hold off though on projects in 2014 as their money from the insurance company wasn't going to cover the full repair. But since then, they've come up with a design for their new building, something Simpson says they're reasonably happy with.
As you can understand, it's not going to put many of us in it, but at least it gives us a home.
However, it doesn't end there.
We applied for a building, or Versatile applied for a building consent. Now, because we had changed our name, we had 2 previous buildings on the site, because we had changed our name, we had to apply for a resource consent to actually get that building back on that land, which we thought was ridiculous.
Now the club is being asked to take up a geotechnical report at a cost of $4,000 before they can go any further.
We thought everything was absolutely hunky-dory and we would have a permit last week, and the last minute was they now require a geotech report. The engineers first did soil testing reports before they first submitted the consent, and now that's not acceptable to them, so they now require a geotech report for a lightweight building on piles with a wooden floor on a property.
And the club wasn't allowed a concrete floor in case the organisation shut the doors and needed to be moved. He says he wants to get on with their club to attract more members and keep it running. And Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell says the sports club is a good example of disruption to any organisation wanting to get ahead, and says the council is willing to help.
We need to lift our performance in all of these areas.
The issue has been put forth to the Christchurch City Council for review, so the club can hopefully continue their journey and open for members again. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
A community says a roading proposal near a fast food chain in Hornby is unsafe, and now the council's being called in to sort out the dispute. Here's Jared McCulloch.
It's a busy stretch of road in Hornby, but a proposed roading change is causing problems for the Christchurch City Council. National burger chain Carl's Jr. has been given the go-ahead to build a new restaurant at one of the suburb's historic sites. The Clock Tower building, a landmark to many who live in the Hornby suburb, saw the earthquake-damaged site being taken down late last year to make way for the first Carl's Jr. restaurant in Christchurch and the South Island. But it's come with a major hiccup. The council has taken legal advice to work out the next stages of the roading change to allow the burger chain to be built.
But it does seem to me that if we are getting a lot of development in this area, we do need to start thinking strategically about the strategic land purchase to try and address some of these problems.
There was originally 6 recommendations put forth, with the preferred choice seeing a U-turn lane created on Main South Road and a median island to block entry into the roundabout heading into town. However, there has been other options put forth since then, and the council are going out to public consultation to find the best solution.
There are a large number of safety issues that, in fact, the U-turn will help address, and so I think it's I think the recommendations are good, and it's great that we have come to this point.
The council's recommendation includes changes to networking and operational improvements for motorists, but it now needs to be taken to the Infrastructure, Transport and Environment Committee, so a roading problem like this doesn't happen in the future. Many councillors were in support of the recommendation of a U-turn.
If you shut down the Briny Street and also the main South Road, the kind of the entries, where the people to go?
However, Councillor David East says some of the changes around planting needs to be addressed.
Environmentally, I'm against the removal of 4 trees there. The area is pretty bereft of vegetation for a starter, and taking these 4 out doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I am, like Dave, not in favour of removing trees from the middle of the Main South Road when they are so few and far between. And that's why I want the amendment through, so that we can look at a safe option that doesn't do so.
Now the options will go to public consultation.
And I think the pressure on this area to start to look like the rest of a garden city will increase as, and this council obviously is pretty focused on that.
It's not certain how much the roading change will cost, but it's now in the council's hands, with Restaurant Brands, which owns Carl's Jr. not paying up, saying they won't help fund the project through a cost-sharing agreement if the issue went to public consultation.
I personally find it really helpful if the public are engaged in a conversation about why something's important. I think that the proposal can be justified.
There's a long way to go before the project can speed ahead. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
And still to come here on CTV News, looking good and feeling great for a good cause. Welcome back to CTV News. It's the first town in North Canterbury to offer free Wi-Fi to customers, and it's just the beginning, with other towns in the region likely to follow suit.
Colvin has become the first North Canterbury town to have free Wi-Fi on its main street. It's hoped the move will bring more people into the township and stay longer, boosting hospitality and retail businesses. But how long will they stay? Users will have unlimited time on the internet, but usage will be capped at 200 megabytes per person. The service has been developed by the region's promotional agency, Enterprise North Canterbury, and is community funded. Cheviot is expected to be the Harinui district's second free Wi-Fi town just within a few weeks, and other towns in the region are also being encouraged to establish a service. Enterprise North Canterbury says most of the region has internet speeds at least 4 times slower than the national average. With a growing amount of rural businesses depending on the internet, Enterprise North Canterbury has called on the government to provide funding for better rural internet and mobile phone coverage.
It's been one of the most popular community events this winter, and the money raised from Night to Light events in the Christchurch Botanic Gardens will now help build a permanent children's garden for the city.
More than $34,000 has been raised for the new children's playground in the Botanical Gardens. The money came from gold coin donations from more than 40,000 people who attended the Night of Delight Kids Fest events earlier this month. The evening events showcased light displays allowing families a small colourful reprieve from the midwinter cold. The Christchurch City Council says children's gardens are becoming increasingly popular worldwide, and the new one will be built next to the current children's playground. Although the design is yet to be finalised, the council says initial concepts include a tree hut, an edible tasting garden and a worm or insect garden. There will also be space for children to garden, play with sand, mud or water and engage in interactive learning stations. The council agreed in 2007 to build a children's garden, and the first stages will be trialled from early next year. The funds raised from Night of Delight events will be added to the playground's total cost, which will be largely funded by the council's long-term plan.
Well, they're helping women look good and feel better for a great cause, putting a smile on those who are currently going through cancer treatment. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
We're nearing the end of Look Good, Feel Better month, but that doesn't mean the end for this worthwhile New Zealand charity. The Look Good, Feel Better group aims to restore and enhance the appearance of cancer patients dealing with the effects of cancer treatment.
The most important thing is in that 2.5 hours, not only have you had your whole pack donated through the generosity of the cosmetic industry, but you've had time to feel like yourself, and you're meeting other women in the same situation. So we often say that it's a place where there may be many cancers, but one community that day.
Look Good, Feel Better is the only worldwide cancer support charity providing free, practical support for people dealing with the side effects of cancer treatment.
At Look Good, Feel Better, when you're diagnosed with cancer, you have the opportunity to come to one of our free workshops. And for 2.5 hours, you're able to focus on you, the individual, not the fact that you're a cancer patient.
In the class, the team takes women through skincare and makeup routines like redrawing on eyebrows and how to camouflage a lack of eyelashes.
It can be change in skin tone and skin colour, so you could have the reddening of the skin. It could be that it's become drier. Often when you're going through treatment, you've got to get a lot more moisture in there just to be normal, and it goes the same for men as well as that happens. If you're undergoing some treatments, you will lose hair, and that will be eyebrows, eyelashes and hair, and you often lose the sense of your whole structure of your face when you've lost your eyebrows. So to be able to watch the women redraw them and suddenly recognise themselves again and have a sense of control that this is something that they can do, so they can be that person again.
General Manager Claire Ho-Higgins says that the way we look on the outside can have a powerful influence on how we feel on the inside. And who needs better self-esteem boost than women going through appearance-altering treatments?
People will come to us because they want to be able to continue to work. Through treatment these days, you probably do still need to work often, and you want to be able to have that sense that you're still who you are and people treat you as normally as possible rather than thinking of you as a cancer person. So these are some of the things that happen. Or today we were talking at one of the workshops, and as somebody said that I just want to be able to go to school and pick up my son without somebody staring at me.
There are more than 200 classes held in about 33 centres around New Zealand, which is only set to get bigger.
Our goal is that no woman should have to travel more than 30 minutes from her home to any workshop. So in Christchurch, we're really, really fortunate that we are in the centre of Christchurch. We have had requests to look at actually being a little bit further out as well, so that people who are living further out might be able to get to Rangiora, might be able to get closer to Rolleston, Lincoln, those sorts of areas. So in the next 12 months, we'll certainly be looking at ways in which we can ensure that we're close to all the women and they don't need to travel too far when they're undergoing treatment.
The charity began in 1992 and since then has aimed to put a smile on the face of every woman with support, guidance and free classes at a difficult time in their lives.
We see over 230 women in Canterbury every single year. We have workshops every fortnight on a Tuesday in the Canterbury region, and this would be our third largest centre nationwide.
Look Good, Feel Better will be promoting the end of their month of awareness at Westfield Riccarton tomorrow.
Come and see us at the mall at Westfield tomorrow and post a butterfly. Our symbol for Look Good, Feel Better in New Zealand is a butterfly because it's all about transformation, and that's what happens in the workshops. So send a message, they'll go to our workshops and support our women, and they'll know that you're thinking of them.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Absolutely wonderful cause. Do help out if you can. Well, still to come here on CTV News tonight, your local business roundup and, of course, the all-important regional weather forecast. And welcome back to CTV News. If you'd like to get in touch with us here at CTV, the best way to do it is to head to our Facebook page. There we have updates and, of course, the weather update and the 1 minute news roundup every night here at CTV. Just go to facebook.com/Canterbury TV. And Warren is standing by now from headliner.co.nz with a week's roundup of your business news.
I'm Warren Head from headliner.co.nz. If you're out looking for a property this weekend, you'll be able to talk to the bank about getting a softer interest rate, thanks very much to the central bank, which moved again today to lower what's called the official cash rate down to 3%. It's getting into territory we haven't seen in this country for a very, very long time. And indeed, this is going to make quite a difference at home in terms of cutting more off the cost of mortgages. And the trading banks have already started to move in that direction to prune certain rates. And what this all means, of course, is that we're on a trend line now downwards in this cash rate. The cash rate, if you like, is like a shock absorber on the car. You hit a bit of a bump and it softens it off by the time it gets to your backside sitting in the seat at home, or in the car in this case, or in reverse in that case. But you get the point. What I'm saying is that we're lucky to have a floating exchange rate which does cushion us from these big events. Hey, but there's another thing happening out there too this week. Suddenly, midweek, the oil prices around the world started to come off, really seriously falling. And of course, this means now that all those commodity currencies are affected by this, the Australians in particular, because they're into resources like oil and gas and metals, and that's all turning a little bit to custard for them. For us, of course, is dairy price coming back down, but there's a view coming through now that really because of the falls which have occurred, you must start trending towards the bottom at some point soon. So we have now, I'd suggest, a convergence of really positive influences starting to come our way. Hopefully, because the Reserve Bank of the country is, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of the country is saying that the growth rate is now softer than at the time of June, and rebuild activity they maintain in Christchurch appears to have peaked. Now everybody is saying that, the bank economists are saying that, except for our Chamber of Commerce and some other people who look at the numbers in a different way. I'm not quite sure whether it's peaked or not. I drive through town and I can see the Justice Precinct underway, but no other big projects, and they're still to come. I heard Madison AWF say this week that they're worried about where they're going to find workers for the rebuild in Christchurch. They wouldn't be worried if they thought it was peaking. So there's some inconsistency coming through here. But one of the things that is occurring in Christchurch that's quite definite now is that there is a softening of housing prices. Now, the gap between us and Auckland is quite profound. Between September last year and June this year, Auckland house prices are up 20%. In Christchurch, they're now down 1% in that period. And if the rebuild is indeed peaking, you can expect them to come off even further in this city. Housing supply is one thing, dairy is another, so those are the two big influences for this town. On the stock market, the big important meeting of the week was Xero's annual meeting. That's the big software company that's trading around about $18 a share on the market. Was at $46 at one stage. And they said that in this current year, they expect to move towards a massive total in terms of their revenue number. The number was around about 200 million, and they're reaching now 150,000 subscribers, and that's in New Zealand, and worldwide another 540,000. One day they'll start rolling out their market share and there'll be a profit, I'm sure. I'm Warren Head for headliner.co.nz.
Very informative, Warren. Thank you. Now time for the region's weather forecast.
Kia ora Canterbury. Most places got to the early to mid-teens today with those northeasterly winds breezing through. They should be easing later on this evening. Let's take a look at today's highs. 14 degrees for Timaru there, 13 for Geraldine and Temuka. Looking to central Canterbury, 13 degrees for Christchurch. Also sharing 13 degrees was Leeston, Ashburton, Methven and Darfield, and 12 degrees for Akaroa there. Let's take a look further north. Kaikoura, 13 degrees for you, Cheviot, Colverdon and Oxford there, 14 for Amberley and Rangiora, and just 12 degrees for Hanna Springs. Taking a look over to the Alpine region now, 10 degrees for Lake Tekapo and Mount Cook today. Let's take a look at tomorrow's temperatures and weather for the major centres. 14 degrees there for Timaru with a few northerly winds coming in, high cloud for Timaru as well. Taking a look to Ashburton now, sunshine for you tomorrow with a few cloudy patches here and there, 15 degrees for your high and 4 for your morning. Taking a look to Christchurch, 15 degrees for you as well and 7 for your morning. You might not need that second blanket tomorrow. Taking a look to Kaikoura, a very similar picture here, 15 degrees for your high and a few cloudy patches and sunshine for you also. Let's take a look at other areas for tomorrow's weather. 14 degrees for Temuka, Geraldine and Waimate, a few northwesterlies there for Twizel. Taking a look to central Canterbury, mostly light winds for these places here, how we are seeing a few northwesterlies coming through for Methven, 15 degrees for Leeston and Akaroa there. Taking a look further north, again, we're seeing sunshine and a few cloudy patches here and there, northwesterly winds for Oxford there, but light winds for most other places. Warm temperatures though, Amberley and Rangiora on 16. And taking a look over to the Alpine region, 12 degrees there for Lake Tekapo and northwesterly winds for all of the Alpine region. Let's take a look at the upcoming days. 15 degrees it should say for everyone here, apart from Kaikoura on 16 there. Sunny skies and cloudy patches there. Taking a look to Sunday, we're seeing a few drizzle patches for Ashburton and also potentially for Christchurch and Kaikoura in the morning. 16 degrees though for everywhere apart from Ashburton on 15. Taking a look at other areas for the upcoming days, we're seeing mostly fine weather on Saturday with a few cloudy patches and sunshine coming through. A few northerly winds, but mostly light winds for most places. Looking to Sunday, the winds are actually increasing on Sunday. We're seeing quite a few northwesterly winds breezing through. They could be quite gusty in some inland areas and a few drizzle patches here and there. So as we can see over the next coming days, those temperatures are really increasing, which is great. We are seeing that high pressure system take hold until Friday evening, and from then on we're seeing a northwesterly flow for the weekend. For now though, that's your weather update for Thursday.
Thank you, Mercy. The weather is looking good, isn't it? Finally, heating up just a little bit. Before we go tonight, don't forget to join me on News Talk CB. Tomorrow we have the Friday panel that starts at 11 o'clock on 100.1 FM and on iHeartRadio as well. And that is CTV News for Thursday. You have a warm evening.
supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.